Today, you will learn about a boy who was mocked before he died, who was killed and left for dead. This boy had already had a bad life. His mother died, and his house burned down. He ended up living with his sick grandmother in a rental apartment. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. The town is 36 kilometers from Krasnoyarsk. It can be reached by Highway M53 in the direction of Irkutsk, before reaching the sculpture Bogaders. At the sign Lopatino, turn right and follow the road for 6 kilometers, which is dotted with 4 streets. Most of the houses are regular townhouses, with villas at the end. There are 2 stores in town. The story of Cyril, who died here, is told here, but there are different versions of the story. First, we go to his grandmother, Lyubov Vladimirovna. Kirill lived with her after his mother died. She died of lingering liver disease, people say. They also point to a burnt wooden wall near the bus stop. There you see is their house, which burned down 2 years ago. Now they've rented an apartment in a converted former school. It's the only 3-story building in town, with a fence and chipped doors. When the investigation began, the police approached a random smoking man. He didn't know the grandmother's name, but he pointed to the right apartment of the murdered Kirill's grandmother. On the first floor, her door was open. The old woman sitting on a couch in a small room, opposite a small bed and a poster with the multiplication table. "Come in, keep your shoes on," she invited, without asking who entered. "I'm not crying or sobbing," she says in a tired voice. "I can't walk. I sit in 4 walls. My grandson unfortunately died. No one showed me what his injuries are, how he is, what he is. But my grandson has a father. People ask why he did not communicate with his children. He did. He has a new family and no place of his own. Only his new wife's apartment. Maybe he would have agreed to take him in, but he didn't." The boy's father, Yuri, lives in a 2-story house across the street. On that day, he left for Krasnoyarsk. He left his mother when Kirill was about 2 years old. Since then, he grew up with his mother and grandmother. According to Lyubov Vladimirovna, Friday 22 June was an ordinary day, and there were no signs of any problems. He was brought in from the schoolyard in Voznesenka. When he took off his coat, he was waiting for other children who were playing near the bus stop. He hadn't eaten because he had eaten twice at school. He said, "Grandma, I'm going for a walk." I never saw him again since then. I had no suspicions or premonitions. Around 2 in the afternoon, and then again at 7 in the evening, Kirill was seen. He didn't come home at night, and the search continued all night and into the morning. The next day in the afternoon, the body was found by the alleged killer himself, says the boy's grandmother. He was the 16-year-old son of Kirill's father's friend, Mikhail. The names of the minors, except for the dead boy, have been changed in the article, and they were family friends. Kirill's body was found 1.5 kilometers from the city, in the woods on a mountain in the direction of the village of Lopatino. According to local residents, the teenager allegedly took another 15-year-old boy, Alexander, to search for him and brought him to the same place. The story is retold in a local store. He says to him, "Let's go look for it." Sasha replies, "Let's go through the woods, there might be something there." Misha replies, "No, let's go along the road. What are we going to do there?" "Let's go," says Sasha. First, we found 1 shoe, then a corpse, and Sasha got scared. He started running. The police came, everything was cordoned off. The 6-year-old suspect was taken to Krasnoyarsk that same day. There, police said the next day, he was already testifying and making a partial confession. The events of the terrible day are described by the police as follows. In the afternoon, the boys met and got to talking. According to the detainee, during the conversation, Kirill called him insulting words several times. When they went out on the outskirts of town, the boy beat the 2nd grader and fled. He said he did not intend to kill him. The neighbors we interviewed could not imagine why a teenager from a good, non-drinking, hard-working family would do such a thing. Most speak positively about Misha, as do his parents and older brother. Although young people tell us about the suspect that where there is a fight at school, there is a fight with him. His father works at an asphalt plant, and his mother works as a kindergarten teacher. The family lives modestly. An old red car with a sign on the window is parked nearby. The relatives of the arrested boy do not want to talk to journalists, as the father, who left the house, said. The teenager, who discovered Kirill's body along with the suspect, remains silent. No one came out of the two-story house at the knock, but the curtains are periodically pulled back. Much to her surprise, kind words about her citizen who killed her grandson and his parents are found even in Lyubov Vladimirovna. Parents are very hardworking. They are about 40 years old, and the older boy is good. I would never have thought how Misha could take his life. What kind of quarrel can we talk about? These children are small. They have completed 2 grades. And he's a big boy. Tall, good boy. Never would have thought. The investigators themselves were surprised yesterday. Why did he take his own life and destroy his own? One thing surprises me. Maybe you accidentally hit him, showed some kind of trick. He fell. Why did they take him to the forest? They say it happened on School Street, in front of their house. Who says he knocked him unconscious the first time? Left him in the woods. Maybe he needed help. Maybe the child was still alive. The pensioner begins to cry, holding on to her thoughts. Who knows what the doctors came up with? Well, if he died immediately, but so he lay in the forest for half a day. None of the neighbors and residents of Lopatino can call the deceased Kirill a bad boy, a normal, quiet boy. Grandmother adds that he rarely went for walks. I say, Kirill, don't go out of town. There are a lot of cars coming. They can knock you down. He has all the streets nearby. We have been renting this apartment for 2 years, and I look out the window. You can see how he plays in the sandbox and rides from there on a bike. The only big prank was when Kirill was 5 years old. He set fire to a wooden house, recalls Lyubov Vladimirovna. He tried with a friend to see if the foam rubber would ignite from one match. With charred walls, my grandmother sells for $10,000. All participants in the terrible drama, except for the heavily walking grandmother, first met in the forest on Sunday, June 24th. As the boy's father Yuri explained to us over the phone, an investigative experiment was carried out, where the police brought 16-year-old Mikhail, his father, childhood friend Yuri, Gennady, was also there. He can't tell me anything because he doesn't understand anything himself, says the boy's father about his friend. What happened is irreparable. It's hard on his soul. He didn't expect it himself, and neither did I. He doesn't believe anything. The boy's father tells the police about the meeting. When asked if the alleged killer asked for forgiveness, he answers, I didn't say anything. They didn't let me close. It's a shock for me too. I have no idea how all this is going to go on. We do not know yet when Kirill's funeral will take place. The investigation into the murder continues. An autopsy it will show the cause of death of the child, but it is known that he hit with his hands and feet on the head. Soon the child stopped showing signs of life. Soon it will be decided in court on the terms of arrest for the teenager, while the townspeople and acquaintances are collecting money for the funeral. But the boy's father told the investigator, I will not answer the question about the money. I can say one thing. This dead child has a father, and I am responsible for the funeral. And all the money that will be spent from my budget. And what people collect, then discuss me. I am not burning with desire. I won't take that money from anybody. I have the money. I will bury it as it is needed. This is my son, and I will not ask anyone for help.